Hello everybody and welcome back to Gardens and Crystals with me, Wesley Peterson, and today we are out in my botanical garden here at Crystal Cottage, and I decided I wanted to do a video about this bucket next to me here. Now this is the Bokashi recycling bin that you can use to make a compost and a liquid fertilizer for your plants, and it's absolutely amazing. Now this is an aromatic system where you have a tight lid on a plastic bucket to stop air getting in with your decaying products in the pot. So this is a system that doesn't use oxygen for the decaying process. It's quite interesting. And it's very easy and simple. You can have this Bokashi in your home, under your kitchen sink, and you can put all your scraps in there as you go along. You can have it out in your garden, you can have it on your balcony. It's a perfect size to be able to have around, to be able to produce yourself a constant flow of liquid fertilizer, and then the rest of the remains, when the bin is full up after just 3 weeks probably or so, you can put those out and bury them in your garden. The only thing is, when you put them straight into the garden, you need to remember that this can make the soil in that area acid for a couple of days, but around 7 to 10 days later it will neutralize and become part of the soil system. So you can lay that in the soil to enrich it when it's broken down completely after just a couple of weeks. The liquid fertilizer that comes out is quite strong, and I think there are certain things in here to help us figure out how much you should use. So I'll just open the lid and we can have a look together what we have inside here. It's very tight. Oh well, that's going to have to be part of my video now. Well, right, seeing as everything fell out on the floor, we have the handle. We have this, which is the bottom tray. You will put your organic material on top of this tray, on top of the bottom of this bin, so that all the liquid can drain through and you can save that. I'm not sure what this is. And then we have the star of the whole project. This is the effective microorganisms, EM. And this system was thought up in Japan, and this incorporates microorganisms that break down the organic material in your plastic container here. Without this effective microorganism mix, you won't get the fermentation that you need of the materials in here. They will basically just rot and it will smell really, really badly. These are living microorganisms that go in and break down the material and turn it into compost, which is absolutely fantastic, and it does it in such a quick rate of time. So I'm just going to put the bucket down for a minute. So here it just says basically that you only need around 2 tablespoons of this EM to every kind of cup of waste material that you put in your Bakashi container. So you're not going to go and throw all of this in there in one go. This will last quite some time. You can use it probably a few times for filling up the whole bucket. And it says that your Bakashi should never be left anywhere where it's bright direct light. It should be in a shady position so that you don't heat it up too much and create an environment that's too inhospitable for the microorganisms. And also, you should never add any liquids to the Bakashi system. So that means no fruit juice, no soya milk or any other kinds of milk or anything like that, no oil, nothing. You let the organic materials break down themselves, and then the liquid will drain through the bottom itself. And you can use all of the products that you get out of your Bakashi, not only in the garden, but also for plants that are in pots outside, and also for your house plants. You can really use it for everything. So the rest of the bucket looks like this, and you have these measuring spoons to help you. This is for taking out the liquid fertilizer from the bottom. You can use this to measure and drizzle in your Bakashi if you want to. So you have everything you need to start off this. Now, the Bakashi bucket has a little tap at the bottom, and at the moment it says closed here. Make sure that it's closed when you start the process and not on the open side, because you will get a leakage of liquid fertilizer all over the place all the time. So make sure it's closed before you start. So let's get on with adding a few of my waste products now into this Bokashi and get this going. So to do this, I need to stand up. And what I've decided to do is put my Bakashi bin down here for a minute. Now, I have a bag of scraps here. We have everything from coffee grounds to breakfast materials, all our vegetables and fruits, and I'm vegan, so there'll only ever be plant products in here. And I don't drink coffee, but my husband drinks coffee, so we have the coffee grounds here. He also eats milk products. We do probably have some eggs in here, and now and again he'll have fish. But you can also put any kind of meat, fish, and all sorts of products that you eat in the home. The only things you shouldn't be putting in there, as I just said before, are liquid products of any kind, and no bones from animals, because they will take way too long to break down and they will just be sitting in there. So no bones and no liquid product, and basically it's just things that you can eat yourself that you put into this system. Right, so now the bottom tray, as I said, first of all, take all the little products out and put your bottom tray in. Make sure it's on closed, which it is. And I can get myself a pair of gloves on now so that I can put some of my waste straight into my bucket here. So in Sweden, we're very good at recycling products anyway, and that's why you see my waste products in this brown paper bag, and we will put it into our main waste separately from everything else, and it will be taken off to be recycled. But with this system, I can keep it at home, and it has to be in a closed container. You can't have this kind of material in a compost heap in your garden, where you will attract rodents, rats and mice and all sorts of things around the area, around your home and around the area. So it is important that you keep it in a container that is airtight and sealed and away from that kind of situation. So anyway, now I'm ready to just put some of my scraps in my container here. And, well, do it like this. Oh, and it's dripping out its goodies all over my table here. So, I'll just put some in. And then squash that down. Now I've discovered what this is for. Instead of getting my hand filthy dirty like this little plastic thing here is obviously for squashing down the layer. So you squash down to make sure you get as much air out of the layer as possible. Then, in here, I need to add my EM, effective microorganisms. So I need to take this dirty glove off now so that I can open this air-sealed bag. Like that. And then before we start, I just want to show you this closer up. So there we go, there's the amazing Bokashi mix with all the microorganisms that are going to break down your kitchen waste. And it smells wonderful, I think. So, I think I put maybe 4 cupfuls. So that would say I will need a good few tablespoons. So I've just filled up my little container here, and I'll put a layer of that in there around all over like that. And now I'm going to add more of my kitchen waste because I have even more, right? So I might as well put it all in there. My glove back on, add a little bit more. I even have a young Monstera Deliciosa leaf here going into the mix. Oof, this is a little bit crazy. So, more waste. You know what? I'm just going to put all of that in there. Including my brown paper bag. Because that will probably act as a sealant. But before I put that in, I want to add some more Bokashi mix. Now this was a big amount, so I'm going to add a good amount of this. Now, as I said before, you should put around 2 tablespoons to a cup of waste, but you can't put too much of this in, because the more you put in, the more of the microorganisms you have to break down your organic material. It's not a bad thing to put in more, but you don't need to waste all of this when you can use it for many more productions, right? So now I need to spread this out a little bit, as much as I can, and then press it down as much as possible, just like this. Press, press, press. Keep pressing until you really get as much of the air out of your layer as possible. So, there we go. Try my best here. Press all this down. And I've decided to keep this bag and use that as a layer, actually, in my fermentation. Why not? It's a recyclable bag, so I'll just put a little bit of this Bakashi on top and press that down into the mix as well. So, don't need this here anymore, don't need this at the moment. That can be there. I don't want to lose my EM mix, so I just put it on the ground for a moment so it doesn't spill. And basically, that's me done. That is how quick and easy it is for you to create your Bokashi recycling bin. So now all I need to do for now is put my lid on, make sure it is completely sealed. No air should get into this, like that. So it's completely sealed, and I can put my handle back on that I lost when I fell over here just before. And look how easy it is to carry around your Bakashi and put it wherever you want to put it. It's so perfect and so easy to make Bakashi. So that is close, yes. I am really pleased about this. So every week, probably once or twice a week, you'll need to open the bottom here, put your little container at the bottom there, just like that, to collect the liquid, and then you've got a lovely liquid fertilizer to feed your house plants and your pot plants and whatever else. You can experiment, you can test a little bit more, a little bit less, it depends on the kind of plants you want to fertilize, but definitely never directly from this and just water your plants with that, because that would be way too strong, could burn out your plants, burn their roots and be detrimental for the plant. So it really is important to just water it down a decent amount so that you have weakened the consistency a little bit. Now, the more citrus fruits you put into this mix, the more acid your liquid fertilizer will be, and your compost when it comes out of the bin here. So that will be lemons and oranges and anything like that. And again, as I said, when you put it in the ground, it will take a few days before it neutralizes, but you can put it in the ground, cover it up, let it neutralize, and then mix it into the soil. So don't put it in the ground near plants that do not like a soil that's too acid. But this, for example, I love my rhododendrons behind me here, and hydrangeas and all sorts of forest plants love acidic soil. So they would really appreciate the compost that comes out of this mixed into the soil around them. It will be absolutely perfect to give them a good old boost. So just some interesting facts about the Bakashi bucket here. It can hold around about 19 litres of waste food material. And the mix that I use next to me here, this is a sawdust mixed with grains. And in the mix is this effective microorganism mix, and this is a mixture of lactic acid bacteria, yeast, photosynthetic bacteria, antinomycetes and fungi. So it's a whole mix of organic organisms in here doing a really good job breaking down the materials here. So the general amount of liquid fertilizer you should use on your house plants or your potted plants and so forth is 2 tablespoons of liquid fertilizer to 1 litre of water, and you shouldn't store that for any more than a couple of days because then it will be no good. So use it basically as quickly as possible. And if you use it undiluted, you can actually use it to clear out drains and so forth. So that's a really good extra plus with the liquid fertilizer. So once you've used your Bakashi bin one time, it's full up completely, and you've put your compost into the garden and you want to clean it out, only use normal clean water. Don't use washing up liquid or anything like that to clean your Bakashi, because that could affect the microorganisms that you're going to be putting back into the system. There could be residues left. So just wash it with clean, clear water. So when I was saying that the material in here is breaking down, it is actually not a breaking down process and turning it into compost in the bin itself. It's part of the whole process, but it's kind of the process before. So what's happening is your waste products are fermenting, which means that they are reducing in size, and the liquid that is inside all of the waste products will be drained out, and you will be able to add more and more into the bin as it reduces. And it's when you open the bin and put the material that's in here that isn't broken down so it looks like soil or anything like that, but it is compressed. When you put that into the soil, then the compost breakdown process really begins as the materials turn into soil, and that is together with the other microorganisms and the earthworms in the soil where you'll be placing your Bakashi mix. So if you want to stop your container contents turning putrid, then you need to really make sure there's no or as little oxygen as possible in the container, and as little liquid as possible as well, hence the drainage segment in the bottom here. But you don't want to let the liquid fertilizer stay in the bottom of the container for too long otherwise, because that will also turn putrid and everything else inside will turn putrid. So you need to drain it out a couple of times a week, and especially when it's warmer weather like in the middle of summer like now, you're probably going to have to do that a lot more. So when you put the mix that's inside here in the soil to compost, you need to make sure you bury it deep enough that rodents and so forth don't go in and find it too easily. So it is recommended that you bury it around 20 centimeters deep. Most rodents will dig anyway. You could put it in a kind of area with a metal cage around that is sealed from the bottom and the sides to stop any rodents getting into your Bakashi mix as it breaks down in the soil. So the actual smell of the liquid fertilizer that comes out should be fruity, and it shouldn't have any kind of putrid kind of smell, because then it's no good. You need to throw that away. It should be a fruity, vinegary kind of smell, and the color should be a kind of orangey color, and then you'll see white threads of fungus floating on the top or in the mixture, and that is all perfectly good and healthy. So if you should open your bin and you'll see a kind of cottony fungus on the top of the contents, then you know that the fermentation process is working as it should be. This is nothing to worry about. This means the microorganisms are doing their job and everything is working out just right. So when you put the fermented material in your garden, make sure that you don't put it near the roots of any new or young plants, because as I said before now, it is quite acid and that could be detrimental for those plants. So have it a little bit away somewhere, cover it with soil and let it break down. And it only takes a couple of days, a week or more, and the acidity will have reduced much more to neutral, and then it's perfect for using around your plants. If you're somewhere and you're in an apartment or something like that and you have a balcony and you have this pot and you have the contents that you need to put somewhere, then you can just get a plant pot and place this fermented material in the plant pot and then cover it with soil, and it will do the breaking down and turning into soil process by itself over a period of time. Then you'll have a lovely rich soil you can use for your lovely balcony plants. So basically that's all I wanted to say about this. I just thought this was a really interesting new thing to try. And I have a normal compost heap. I collect all of the leaves in my garden and I use those to make a mulch that protects the soil around my plants during the winter time and keeps weeds down. And then this will be a perfect food source for your plants, to enrich them and get them to grow wonderfully with lots of flowers and lots of leaves. And yeah, it's just another way of making a kind of compost and a fertilizer, and for fermenting all of your household waste. Instead of having to discard it and take it to the bin where it's taken away, you can use it. You don't have to go out and buy fertilizer. You can save yourself some money, and it all happens so quickly. And it's just, well, it's actually quite fun. There's no smell, there's no leakage that comes out of this. And as long as you've done everything right and the ratio of your microorganisms and your organic material is right, then there will be no putrefying of the contents, and it should smell lovely and fruity. So go out there, find yourself a Bakashi bin or any kind of container that you can have a drainage in the bottom. I mean, you could actually do this yourself. If you're someone who's quite handsy and good at things like that, you can get yourself a plastic bucket or two, make a drainage pit in the bottom and a little tap, and keep it sealed, and away you go. The only thing you need to go and buy is the Bokashi mix, because that's very important, because without the microorganisms you're not going to get the fermentation system going. So remember, even though in the beginning of this video I was using the words compost and composting, that is the process after this. This is the fermentation process. So now, around 3 weeks later, I've decided to plot in this video so that you can see what this lovely liquid looks like when it comes out of this Bokashi fermenting system. And I'm expecting it to be a really nice, rich fertilizer that I'll be able to use on my plants. So let's open the tap here and see what we get. So twist it to open. And yes, the liquid is coming out. And there's quite a lot. So I've actually been in and emptied this a few times during that period, because remember, you need to check it a couple of times a week. And well, this time I haven't been back and checked it for around a week, so we'll see how much comes out this time. If I tip it a little bit forward, maybe a little bit more will come out. Yes, there's more and more liquid coming out. And that looks like it's it. So let me bring the liquid a bit closer so you can see what it should look like when it comes out, if you have a healthy system on the go. Close this back up first. So it's a little bit thick, and it smells very citrusy, vinegary, like it should smell, but it's not a bad smell. So I know that my Bakashi system is working. It doesn't smell putrid or anything like that. So have a closer look at this liquid. So there you go. You can see the orangey browny color of this liquid, and a perfect consistency to be used as fertilizer. Very, very good, potent, and perfect for your plants. So now that I've drained out all of the liquid fertilizer that was left in this container, I'm ready to fill up with a little bit more of my kitchen waste. I think I have a little bit of space left in here, and then after this amount it will be completely full up, and I'll be ready to put the contents in the garden. Just want to check that everything's out of here. Yeah, it is. So we'll put this liquid fertilizer on the side for now, like that, and open up this container and get the last bits of my waste in here together with the Bakashi microorganism mix. So let's open this. So the interesting thing about inside, I don't know if you can see, is it hasn't broken down very much, and that is because the materials in here don't turn into fertilizer directly in the container. If you're thinking of a garden soil look, it is the liquids that are fermenting out of the system without much oxygen. So now I just want to carry on filling up right to the top with all this extra waste I have. Ugh. All sorts going on here. You can see I eat a lot of porridge oats and onions and bananas. Oh dear, can I get this leveled out? I think. and pizza. Bits of bread. And yes, so what I want to do now is level all this out first in my container, because then I'm ready to put in, squash out the air as much as possible, so press it down. Unbelievably, I actually thought that I wouldn't have any more space left, but I'm going to have space for one more round before this is completely filled up. So now I'm ready to add some of the Bokashi mix, and you can see that I have my Bokashi mix now in this plastic container, and that is because I had this in my annex, just like this, and the mice had nibbled a hole out the side and started eating this Bokashi mix. So please make sure that you keep your Bokashi mix somewhere safe, away from mice. So now I have a drizzle of this on top, and I have so much left to fill up this container many times. I can see. Get this safely away again, like that. Right, gloves back on, because now I want to press down this paper bag on top to give another layer. This is biodegradable as well, of course. So paper on top, press it down, and that is another layer for me made until the next time I need to drain it out. So what I need to do now is put a little bit of Bakashi mix on the top, and then I'm done with this extra little snippet of my video here. A little bit. Ooh, yeah, that's enough. So remember, you can never put too much, but you can put too little. So make sure you observe the minimum amount that you should be putting in each time. So that's me done. That's pressed down, and I'm ready to put my lid back on while I press out the air at the same time as much as possible. And now my Bakashi system is ready to carry on producing me this lovely liquid fertilizer while it is also creating compost for my garden. Now we can go back to the original video. So anyway, that's all I have for you for this video. I hope you enjoyed learning a little bit more about Bokashi and another idea for making beautiful plant food. So all I have to say now is thank you very much once again for watching Gardens and Crystals with me, Wesley Peterson. Please remember to like, subscribe and hit the bell so you know when my next video will be coming up, and I will see you again very, very soon. Goodbye.